Faculty, staff, family, friends, classmates, random guy walking through your Zoom background in his underwear. Thank you for being here to celebrate with us today. My name is Ryan Brewster, and I'm humbled to be speaking to you on behalf of the Stanford School of Medicine MD class of 2021. I can still vividly recall one of my first clinical encounters. I was seeing a young woman for a routine checkup, straightforward enough. After exchanging pleasantries, the patient, sensing my nerves, tried to calm the tension in the air. "You have a very kind face," she said. An odd compliment, but I shrugged it off and continued. During the exam, I heard her muffled voice through my stethoscope. "Hey, we should get dinner sometime." Oh no. My face reddened. I saw where this was going, but I didn't know how to shut it down. Do I call her out? Do I ignore her? Before I knew it, she was trying to sit on my lap. I panicked internally, but was completely paralyzed. My cries for help must have been heard, though, because moments later we were interrupted by what we call the voice of God. "Time out!" It was Dr. Kugler, my educator for care. Holding back laughter, he declared, "Scenario over." Fortunately, this was no real patient, but an actor in a simulated exercise to prepare medical students for tough conversations, oftentimes at the expense of our dignity. The infamous seductive patient station was one of countless occasions over medical school when I'd been entirely overwhelmed. In fact, at no point during the past 5 years have I felt truly ready, confident and self-assured in taking those next steps in our training. Everyone graduating here today can relate to this. For some, it was pooping outside for the first time during sweat, or memorizing that behemoth of a biochem map. For others, it was standing at the edge of a delivery table, bringing life into the world, or sitting with a dying patient. The stakes seemed too high and were consumed by everything that can go wrong. But the moment passes, maybe painfully, and anxiety and uncertainty give way to growth. Unless, of course, you're retracting in the OR for 5 hours, in which case you're just really tired. But what about now? Class of 2021, our values and professional identities have been forged in perhaps the greatest period of anxiety and uncertainty in a generation. Many of us started medical school in a political culture that was stained with division and hate. Almost daily, we mourned the lives lost at the hands of gun violence and police brutality. We saw the skies turn orange as wildfires ripped through our towns and our forests. And as the very fabric of our government, climate, and society hung in the balance, we were thrust into a global pandemic. Our final year of medical school was supposed to be glorious, filled with far-flung vacations and late nights at the patio. My partner, fellow graduate, and future ophthalmologist Ami prophesied only good things. It was 2020 after all, the year of the eyeball. Instead, we traded our scrubs for sweatpants and our textbooks for Tiger King. And as the world directed its gaze on our healthcare institutions, you did not shy away from the moment. You rose to it. Between DIY haircuts and Zoom trivia nights, you collected PPE by the thousands and battled misinformation. You flocked to your labs and stood up for the most marginalized among us. Meanwhile, the phrase "I can't breathe" took on another meaning, one that spurred us to march and to kneel and to dare to assert that Black Lives Matter. These actions should not be confused with heroism, however, a term we've heard all too often to describe our frontline healthcare providers. It conjures up images of superhuman qualities and leaves no room for vulnerability. Heroism denies the reality that we are devastated and we are exhausted. I want to acknowledge that many of our celebrations today will be dampened by profound grief. I think of my grandparents, both of whom passed away this year, and the many friends and families who have suffered loss and isolation. I think of Rose Wong, whose creativity and activism leave a lasting legacy on the Stanford medicine community. In our sadness, might we remember that so much of who we are, we can trace to the ones closest to us. For those who could join us today, and in memory of those who could not, we owe you the deepest debt of gratitude for your love, your support, and your wisdom. This day belongs to you. Now, if the past year has shown us anything, it's that healthcare as we know it is never going to be the same. There are cracks in once immovable institutions and norms, and the very meaning of a physician, what we look like, what we stand for, is being actively redefined. In less than a month, we'll be forced to reckon with these challenges, and undoubtedly we will not feel ready. So what will push us to act? Will we freeze like first-year Ryan during an awkward patient interaction? Medical school teaches us how to navigate the uncertainty and risk inherent in clinical decision-making. Much the same as we build the world anew, we must ask ourselves not whether we're ready, but rather whether we can accept uncertainty for the promise of creating something better. When doubt and insecurity creeps in, we must trust that our training and our principles will lead us down the right path. There's really no other choice. In his 1947 novel The Plague, Albert Camus wrote, "I have no idea what's awaiting me, or what will happen when all this ends. For the moment, I know this. There are sick people and they need curing." Now, as then, our patients and our communities demand the very best of us, especially in the face of the unknown. Class of 2021, our time has arrived. No more UWorld, no more moonlighting, no more giving a pen to an attending only to never see it again. The world is slowly reopening for us, but it leaves many scars and still open wounds. Ready or not, I cannot think of a better set of leaders, innovators, scientists, and activists to set out to heal them. It has been a privilege to call you my colleagues and friends. Thank you, and congratulations.